to this building.
Don, starting in goal for the Soviet Union will be Evgeny Beloshakin, his third year in the World Junior Tournament. If he wasn't here playing in this tournament, his usual team is the Red Army that just toured across Canada. He's a good goalkeeper. Another good goalkeeper, the starter for Team Canada, Craig Billington. He's been very hot in this tournament. 3 wins, no losses. Terry Simpson said before the game he feels good about Billington, but the pressure is on the youngster.
And as Craig Billington gets set, the referee tonight is Dag Olsen of Sweden. The 2 linesmen are Jeff Schell of the United States and Hidenori Nakaoka of Japan. Terry Simpson, the coach of the Canadian team, and his opposite number with the Soviet Union.
Vasilyev is the head coach for the Soviet Union. He's in his 5th year of coaching. He was an old forward, a left winger, and they say not a very good one. Don, we watched their practice this morning, and he is a mean coach. He says things right to the players' faces, yells and screams, but he got his team here. They're undefeated.
A buzz of anticipation here in the Cops Coliseum as this game gets underway. Tavarinov goes back behind his own net. And the Canadian strategy, I think, is to use the body in this first period. Loose puck in the center ice area. Tavarinov circles back into his own zone, gets it ahead to Seamak. Seamak tries to go rink wide. It's picked up by Nikonov. He tried to go in. He was knocked off the puck by Sandlak, who came back very strongly. A pass into the center ice area as Viveros had a little trouble going anywhere with it. Corson tried to help out. Knocked it ahead to Nieuwendyk to Sandlak. His shot goes off a leg to the corner. The Canadian team using that body in the offensive zone.
Okay, you saw that first shot by Canada blocked by the Russian defenseman. They say that those defensemen will, by the time the end of the game comes around, block more shots than the goalkeeper.
And you saw there Conroy run into the Soviet player, Fedotov, behind the goal as the icing call was assessed against Canada.
Terry Simpson said the forwards have to win this hockey game for Team Canada. They have to forecheck, take the body. He feels his team is strong, but if there is a weak spot, it is on defense, mainly because they're not as tough as he thinks they should be in front of their own net.
Face off to the right of Craig Billington. He played 48 seconds of this opening period. Both teams undefeated. 5 consecutive victories. Each side has 1 game remaining. But unless this game winds up in a tie, that final outing will have no bearing on the gold medal. Conroy moves into the face-off circle, comes back to the line to Keevan with a shot right on. Roberts picks it up off the boards and clears it to center ice. The Soviets do the attack again, led by Kamensky. Kamensky takes the shot. Billington makes the save. Fed out front by Kamensky as he picked up the loose puck. That is picked off by Canada. Good body check there in the center ice area as Kravchuk stepped into the Canadian player Conroy. Now the Soviets drop back into their own zone. Gorgayev couldn't handle the pass in the center ice area. Alain Cote brings it in for the Canadian team. He's bodied in against the boards by Kovalev, and it's dumped out into the center ice area.
Don, a lot of talk about the Canadians having to take the body. The Russians thrive on that too. They say they built this team around a North American style game, mainly because the ice surface is smaller here in Canada. They like to bump and grind themselves.
Cote was unable to hold it in at the point. He has to wait for his teammates to get onside. Salyanin bumped Murphy at the blue line, and this Soviet team will not be intimidated. I think in that victory over the United States on Sunday, the Americans may have been a little bruised and battered by the time the third period rolled around.
They certainly were, but Canada averaged 10 pounds more than each American. These 2 teams here are very evenly sized.
What an open ice hit by Peter Duras as he stepped into Tatarinov. He really held it in at center ice, and there's an icing ball against the Soviet Union. That comes with 17:48 remaining in this opening period. Seen some excellent hits by both sides in the first 2 minutes and 12 seconds of this opening period. The gold medal battle before a full house here at Cops Coliseum in Hamilton. They have established an attendance record for the World Junior Championship in this 1985-86 tournament in the Steel Town.
A lot of talk on questioning the referee and linesman for this hockey game. The referee is from Sweden. The 2 linesmen, this last play was offside by 6 or 7 feet, and the linesman didn't call it. So both teams are going to have to keep their wits about them, Don, for bad calls.
Viveros clears it out for Canada. Fedotov goes back for the Soviet Union. He hammers it off the boards, and this will be an icing call against the Soviets as Viveros punches it with 17:09 remaining in the period.
Well, we talked about open ice body checks, how important it is to keep the sticks down, the elbows down. Peter Duras caught Tatarina right here at center ice. The key player for the Soviet Union got thumped after he passed the puck, and a good clean body check by Peter Duras, property of the Winnipeg Jets. Tatarina, they say, is tough. He's fearless. We'll see if he's able to recover. That was a thumping body check.
From the opening couple of minutes of this game, John, it would appear that they are attempting to lay the body on Tatarina, much as they did last year in Helsinki, and a couple of good hits in that game by Sandlak and Wendell Clark put the big Soviet defenseman out of the game. Now the Soviets move it out into the center ice area. Back to cover up for Canada is Moylan. He clears it into the center ice area, and it's dumped down the ice by Corson. Corson trying to work to the corner, then he's bodied in against the boards by Kravchuk. Kravchuk tried to get it out, but Canada kept it in at the point. Cote managed to keep it in. There's a whistle on the play. And there's a penalty coming up. I believe Cote is going to be going on.
I think it's a roughing call is what happened, Don. It's either Cote or maybe Sandlak. Cote, you're right. Alain Cote, 2 minutes for roughing.
So the Soviets will have a man advantage with 16:40 remaining in this opening period.
Team Canada penalty to number 20.
Cote gets the roughing penalty right near the boards as he gets body checked, and he's going to react with a punch to the face. And that's what the team management wanted his team to stay away from, are those retaliation penalties. Watch the Russians on their power play. They have 8 power play goals to this point in the tournament. They use their points, Don, a lot more than they used to last season. So that Team Canada's back in that regimented box type of play in their own zone.
The Soviets, very skillful with the man advantage as they move it around very well. Back to the line now to Kravchuk. Kravchuk plays it into Seamak. Back to Kravchuk. Over to the other side. A blast by Nikitin just sails wide. The Soviets controlling in the Canadian zone. Back to the line to Nikitin. Nikitin tried to set up. He fired it wide again. It's loose in front of the net. Cleared to the boards and it's into the center ice area. Canada, Corson and Conroy trying to break out. Conroy punts Kravchuk into the boards in the Soviet zone. Now Shane Corson along the boards holds it for a faceoff.
2 short-handed goals in the tournament, one by Conroy and one by Stapleton. And you can see they got the puck out of the zone rather easily there. They kept the Russians to the outside when they were killing that penalty, and that was the scouting report on the Russians. They love to use their points and shoot it from that area, much different than they did last year. And you can see their scouting report was right to the tee. 2 or 3 shots from the point, nothing in tight. The Canadians to this point have killed it off quite well.
And the Soviets don't really have one special power play unit. They throw out 5 different skaters. As a matter of fact, during the course of the game, they most often change all 5.
John, you very seldom see specialty units anywhere in Europe. The Swedish people, for instance, they just use the next unit, whether it be killing penalties or power play.
Now it's run in. A shot goes off the glove of Billington. Picked up by Scott Mellenby and cleared down the ice. Maloshikin leaves it behind the net. Sergeyev goes back to Selyanin. Fed up on the right side in the center ice area to Osipov. Osipov, who was with the Soviet under-17 team last year, the only member from that under-17 squad that toured Canada with this junior team, trying to dig it out. He gets it back to the point to Selyanin. Sergeyev at the side of the net. Kaminski let a shot go that hit the side of the net. It's gone out by Mellenby. 1 man down. Mellenby over on the wing to Stapleton. Stapleton tried to return the pass. It did not get through. Kornaikov for the Soviet Union, bringing it back with 12 seconds remaining in the penalty to Cote. He dumps it in and picked up there by Viveros. He finds an opening and manages to clear it down the ice and has to kill the penalty.
Excellent penalty killing by Team Canada. Almost to the inside, Don. They kept the Russians outside all the time.
The Soviets now coming in across the Canadian line. Kovalov tried to get it in front. It bounces back of the net, and the official ruled that it was blocked ahead. Canada's quest for gold at the 1986 World Junior Championship in Hamilton continues after this. Canadian supporters here at the Cox Coliseum with the flags and their faces decorated as well. And they are a very loud and supportive group of over 17,000 watching this gold medal battle between the Soviets and Canada. Fedotov, a long blast that Billington takes up on his blocker. It's cleared up along the boards, and Jeff Greenlaw, the 17-year-old with the Canadian Olympic team, dumps it out.
He dumped it out and got nailed by Tatarinov. Tatarinov plays in a league where the people are 10 years older than he is, and he puts fear into their hearts. He's a tough kid.
Kovalyov goes to the corner, loses the puck there. Murphy is bodied. He is sent flying. And Fedotov takes it against the boards and holds it for a face-off.
Now Murphy's reacting here. He's got to be careful. He got nailed. He wasn't looking. He had his head down. It was a clean check. He really got nailed. And Murphy reacted and almost took a cross-checking penalty. Davidov missed 3 months last year in Russia. He broke his leg badly. He was considered the best forward on the national under-18 years of age team. Now watch, as you're going to see Murphy get hit here. He's digging for the puck. He doesn't see the check coming, but the elbows were down. He's got to keep himself under control.
Sokolov is the man who came in and dished out that body check. And the play is whistled down at the line on an offside call, and two players, Konstantinov and Corson, get tangled up. Feelings running very high between these two teams. It was evident this morning when the two sides followed each other in their morning workout.
The Russian Hockey Club were on for their morning skate, and the Canadian players were sitting on the bench, and a little verbal abuse, glares at each other. Not much love lost, of course. This Russian team, Don, lots of experience. They have 10 returning players from last year's squad that played in Finland. The Canadian club has 4 returning players, so the experience level lies in the favor of the Russians.
While neither the Soviets nor the Canadians have any hope of winning the fair play trophy in this tournament, I'm not concerned about that one as much as winning the gold medal. The Soviets, the most penalized team in the tournament. Canada ranks 4th in penalty minutes. Back to the line, a blast, and that is deflected wide, and the defenseman Crabtree got in there to block it. Okay with the shot now. That went off late to the corner. He gets it again. He winds up. James Corson.
Don, what a play by Sandlak to create some interference at the Canadian blue line so Cote could keep the puck in. Once the puck was kept in, they were able to recover, control the puck, and put it by the goaltender. Beloshakin, the goalkeeper, hasn't had any work. Carson's right with nobody around him at all. Loose puck in the net, 1-0 Canada. Watch this, it's a bad rebound. Beloshakin goes down at a bad angle. Carson's right there smartly and put it in, but Sandlak had done the job at the Canadian blue line, creating interference so Cote could keep the puck in, and they converted that turnover into a goal. Good, serious teamwork by Team Canada.
That ties Shane Corson for the lead in goal scoring among Canadian players with Gary Roberts. They each have 6. Corson has come up with some very valuable goals, 2 against the U.S. Loose puck at the side of the Canadian goal, and there's a move by the Soviet player as number 10, Ravil Hyderov, bumped goaltender Craig Billington after he was down. He came right across him as he had frozen the puck in the crease.
Well, we mentioned that the Russian team leads the whole tournament penalty minutes. Now there's actually a little follow-through as he's pushed from behind by the Canadian player Moylan. Nothing too serious, but they're aggressive. Don't let anybody try and con you any way different. They're as tough as any other team in this tournament.
Corson from Sylvain Cote at 6:36, the official on that Canadian goal. 1-0 Canada lead. Loose puck in the corner. Picked up by Roberts. Back to the line. Liberos couldn't get a shot on net. He played it around the boards to the other corner. Picked up there by Roberts. Roberts goes around to the other side. Liberos races in from the point, and he plays it around the board. Picked up by Laxdal. He goes to the other side. Roberts has it as the Canadian team manages to control it. Now it comes loose. Conroy couldn't get a stick on it, and it's brought out by the Soviets. Fedotov misses the check in the center ice area, and it's fired back out and touched a 2-line pass by the Canadian team. 12:57 is the the time remaining in this first period with the Canadian team in front of the Soviets on a Shane Corson goal.
As chosen by the championship directorate.
Doubt where the sentiments of the majority of this capacity crowd at the Cops Coliseum lie in this gold medal battle, and wherever you're looking in across the CBC television network tonight, we hope you're enjoying the action in the World Junior Championship from Hamilton. Stopped back at the net, played up along the boards by Kartner, poked out into the center ice area. Cote could not get there. It's fired in on net, and Billington is forced to make the save. Cote, wheeling back of his own net, played it along the left wing boards, looking for Robitaille, too far for him. This will produce an icing call against Canada.
One of the few icing calls we've had in this hockey game. One of the defensemen, Kretchuk, is how you pronounce the Russian's name. He's a tall kid, not all that big. Plays well. Their defensive pairings have been together for a long time, Don. A lot of the players on this Russian team come from the center called Ufa, which is about 600 miles due east of Moscow. And they feel that with these youngsters coming in as units, they'd be able to form a better hockey club.
This telecast tonight being seen all across Canada, and it is also being beamed by a satellite back to the Soviet Union. Now it's Murphy, one of the keys for Canada, finding some room at center ice, working it across the line, but Peter Service had to put on the brakes at the blue line, and apparently did not stop in time, although the fans and Terry Simpson don't seem to agree.
Actually, I think it may even have been Greenlaw on the other side of the ice that didn't put the brakes on, because the problem is Sean Burke standing up behind the backup goaltender. You're allowed to have 3 goalkeepers on the roster. Kay Whitmore is the 3rd goalkeeper, not dressed, of course. He's one of these the people in case of an injury. He's the 3rd one for Team Canada.
Odeline, one of 4 players with the gold medal winning team a year ago from Quill Lake, Saskatchewan, playing for the Regina Pats, drives it in. Greenlaw picked it up off the boards and got a shot on net. Odeline having a little trouble controlling it at the line. Finally, he pokes it in, and the Soviets' Konstantinov takes over in his own zone. 11:19 is the time remaining in this first period. 1-0 Canada lead. Here's a chance. Viazmikin fires it wide. He's one of the top-rated Soviet players. Loose puck in the Canadian zone as Viazmikin overskated it, and it's played around to the other side.
Now, when Bieberos was sidestepped by Viazmikin, Odeline came across. I think you'll see stronger teamwork by the defensive pairings, especially later on in the tournament like we're seeing now. You know, these players were just put together prior to the tournament. Now they're starting to feel better as units.
Puck in the Soviet zone, rink-wide pass.
Oh, what a hit by Sandlak. Here's a chance, Nieuwendyk, right in front of the net. And Sandlak couldn't get a stick on it. Cote with a shot. Loose puck at the side of the net. Nieuwendyk has it for Canada. Great opportunity for Canada. Set up by a tremendous hit by Sandlak, one of the holdovers from last year's championship team. Now in the center ice area, it's Nieuwendyk launching a check across the line. Another good move. And he lost control of it as Corson was breaking in with him. Seaman on the right side to Heiderhoff. Heiderhoff looking for Seaman. A shot right on. Billington marks it high in the air. Tremendous action at the midway point of this first period. Picked up now by Alain Cote. Back of the net for Moylan. Up on the left side. Too far for Corson. And it slides back into the Soviet zone. Canada makes the change.
Great save by Billington with his glove hand. The referee Olsen letting this heavy body work go. He just calls mostly retaliation penalties. He doesn't mind this going out, seeing the heavy hitting.
Loose puck in back of the net. A jab away at it. Finally, it's pulled free. Cote loses it. Some help as the Canadian defender was covering up, and Conroy brings it out and shoots it down into the Soviet zone.
You have to give that C-Mac some credit. He came back from being in the penalty box, Don. He was just nailed by Sandlak.
Kamensky in across the line for Osipov. He couldn't get a stick on it. The Canadian player, Conroy, comes back to poke it free. And for Canada now, it's Laxdal working down into the Soviet zone, trying to center it. Intercepted by Kamensky and cleared to center ice. 1-0 Canada leads with 8:50 remaining in this opening period. Goal by Shane Corson. And now we've got a penalty coming up against the Canadian team. And going to the box
Hextall takes the charging penalty for Team Canada. That's the second penalty of the period for the Canadians. The Soviets have not spent any time in the penalty box to this point. The Soviets don't have a player that scored more than one power play goal, and they have 8 on the hockey club throughout this tournament.
Blackstall, who joined this junior team from the Brandon Wheat Kings as a draft choice in Toronto. Penalty killing unit with Mellenby getting a shot on goal from that faceoff. The Soviets throwing it around in their own zone. Mellenby controls it for Canada. He's bumped along the boards, and the Soviets go deep in their own zone trying to regroup with some good forechecking and body work on the part of Scott Mellenby as he stepped into the Soviet player Osipov. Now Viazmika wheels out of his own zone across the Canadian line. Drop pass for Galchenyuk. He fed it to the line, got a return pass in the corner. Galchenyuk leaves it there for Viazmikin. Viazmikin back to the net right up front. He tries to jam it in to the line and not out. From the other point, Tatarinov fired it. It went off a leg. Bieberos tries to go back at the net to Odeline. Odeline plays it around the boards and down the ice.
Well, only had 4 or 5 shots, Don, but every one of them has been a severe shot. That last one, when Viazmikin came around with the puck, Billington at the point of contact stood on his feet, made a good save. Great penalty killing to this point again.
Tatarinov dumping it down into the Canadian zone, racing back after it. This is a penalty call against the Soviet Union.
Good look at Dag Olsen. You know, there was some concern a while ago that they did not want Olsen to referee in the Canada Cup. And the Team Canada people for this junior tournament game tonight wanted to get an American referee. The Russians had a right to veto that vote. They decided against it, of course. They put their vote in, no, or niet, I guess as they say. And they ended up getting Dag Olsen, a Swedish referee. He refereed the game between the Russians and the Americans earlier in the tournament. He called 12 minors in that game, 7 to the Americans.
One thing Terry Simpson stressed to his team was with a referee such as Olsen, he will call reaction penalties. And we have seen 2 reaction penalties on the part of the Canadian team in this first period. 36 seconds remaining in the penalty to Derek Laxdal. Play broken up at the line, and a good hit there as Conroy, only 5'7", stepped into the Soviet player Nikonov. And every member of this Canadian team in this first period has been throwing his weight around very effectively. Lead pass to the right side. Hyderov cutting for the net. He was unable to control it as he was sent flying. As a matter of fact, he goes right into the Canadian goal. It's cleared down the ice, and again, Canada will kill off this Soviet power play.
That was a super lead pass to keep him to the outside, and the bench showed emotion. They thought a penalty should have been called.
Stapleton lines up. That shot went off the Dotov. Stapleton gets it again. As it was centered, he tried to deflect it. Play for the Chicago Blackhawks. Some good hitting there on the part of Scott Mellenby, as he has really been bouncing those red-clad Soviet players around. Brought in across the line by Stapleton. Dropped it to Robitaille. He let a shot go. It goes loose back to the net. Mellenby bumps again with the Soviet player Tatarinov, but it's picked up by Fedotov. He feeds it out to Nikonov. Nikonov is stopped in the center ice area. 6:06 remaining. Lead pass for Nikonov to Seamak. Seamak working to the corner, trying to move in. It's poked away, comes back to the line. Nikitin takes the shot. That bounced off the player to the corner. Picked up by Bieberos for Canada into the center ice area. He takes the give and go in across the line. Canadian player Murphy came flying in there. And that just sailed wide. Canada has had the better scoring opportunities of this first period, and they lead 1-0. Now it's Robitaille trying to land another shot. But Belosheikin is down. The Canadian team coming close again. Now Hyderov trying to split the defense. He does. He was unable to get the shot away as Kote managed to lift his stick. Now it's Alain Kote, a pass over on the left wing as the Canadian team is making a line change. Soviets back into their own zone with 5 minutes remaining in this opening period. 1-0 Canada leads. Kamensky across the line, a drive off a leg to the corner. Sergeyev back to the net, out front. Kamensky tries to jam it, and Billington hangs on. The Soviet Union and Canada battling for the gold medal in the World Junior Championship here in Hamilton. teams undefeated through their first 5 games of round-robin play. The tournament taking place here in Southern Ontario, getting underway on Boxing Day, and it will conclude on Saturday. And on Saturday afternoon on CBC Sports Weekend, we'll have the tournament's final game between Canada and Czechoslovakia.
Tell you, Don, to this point, this is as good a first period I've ever seen in my life. Lots of body checks, great plays. They're showing sensational skill. This is just thoroughly enjoyable.
And, of course, a capacity crowd, and they are absorbing every moment of this fine action. Here's a chance for Canada. Conroy trying to get it in front to Laxdal. He was tied up by the Soviet defender and couldn't get a good shot away. A 2-on-1 break there for Canada that just failed to click. Now Laxdal steps into Kamensky. Osipov is forced back into his own zone. Now the Soviets bring it out with Monaenkov getting it to the line. He stopped there. Kartner's pass knocked down in the center ice area by Kamensky.
John, lots of forechecking here by Canada. They're just saying the one guy in after those defensemen for Russia. They're not getting trapped. They haven't given up 2-on-1s. They haven't given up 3-on-2s. That's when the Russians are more skilled than most teams because they're better passers and can score. Canadians aren't allowing those situations to arise here by not getting trapped deep.
Well, of course, the Soviets make that transition from offense to defense so quickly, and they quite often have knocked off Canadian teams with those 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 breaks. An offside at the Soviet blue line with 3:56 remaining in the period.
I was talking to a lot of Jim Sandlak's teammates with Team Canada, and I was saying, who is the team leader in the dressing room between periods? And he said, a lot of them say Jim Sandlak. Now watch C-Mac, he's going to end up in the penalty box. Follow through by Sandlak. What a great body check. Moments later, he nailed Tatarinov. A great shift, but Sandlak, I'll tell you, when he matures as a person to play with men in the National Hockey League, the Vancouver Canucks have a big find there.
Davidoff trying to move in on goal. Sandlak bumping in the corner. The puck is loose. It comes back to Kovalev, and Kovalev couldn't get a shot away. It's loose at center ice, fired to an open wing, picked up by the Soviets. Davidoff brought it in across the line, couldn't go anywhere with it. Viveros for Canada clears it to center ice. It's loose there. Tatarinov lost it to Shane Corson. He dumps it in on the left side for Sandlak, too far, and it's cleared to the line and dumped out by Kovalev. Now it's Davidoff across the line with Galchenyuk to pass over on the wing to Vyazmekin. Vyazmekin circling the net, unable to get a shot away. Back to the line to Tatanarov. Here's another chance for the Soviet Union as it's cleared to the side of the net and picked up by Neuendijk, and there's going to be a penalty for the Canadian team again.
Sandlak ended up nailing one of the Russian players, Vyazmekin, and I'll tell you what, there may have been a goal a minute ago, except for it hit one of the Russian players' skates. They're starting to come on a little bit. Not a good penalty to take for Jim Sandlak. Canada had 1-0. Vyazmekin still on the ice being attended to by the training staff of the Soviet Union's junior hockey club. He was nailed from behind. You see a concerned look on the coach of the Russian team, Vasilyev. Vyazmekin's a big kid. He was a player that was sent home last year because of disciplinary reasons. He is a great hockey player. Scouts are drooling about his play. Look at the check from behind by Sandlak. He came from outside by the blue line a good 50 feet before he nailed the Russian player. He appears to be all right.
Twice, Vyazmekin was reprimanded by the Soviet officials for drinking, and they say he's something of a free spirit. And the Soviet coaches recognize his extreme talent, so they have been willing in the past to condone some of his off-ice problems. And the fans react here as he comes back on the ice, and Terry Simpson is up yelling at the officials.
I thought he was within inches of heading to the hospital, but it looks like he's back. He's not going to miss a shift. He's a big kid. We saw him practice this morning, and you're right, Don, they do call him the free spirit of Russia. In fact, he's supposed to be the player of his age that is the best in the world, and when he got reprimanded, it certainly tarnished his image.
So the Soviets have their third power play of this opening period. Canada in front by a score of 1-0. Konstantinov back of his own net. Gets it up on the right side to Nikitin. He tried to play it ahead. Vyazmekin, and it was broken up by Stapleton, who did a good job of forechecking there for Canada. Meekin now with a chorus of boos cascading down from the stands here at the Cops Coliseum. Lost it at the line. Poked free by Mellanby. Mellanby in across the line. Mellanby circles back to his own line now and pulls off some seconds, circling back and dumping it down the ice into the Soviet zone.
We mentioned at the opening of the show the penalty killing would play a role. This is the third penalty Canada's had. Soviet Union hasn't had any. The penalty killing's been super to this point.
Meekin is body. Pomeroy has the puck, gets an opening and clears it. 1 minute remaining in the penalty to Sandlak. Cote up along the boards. Canada unable to get it out. Here's a shot from the blue line by Salyana, and Billington squeezed out between his pads.
When Billington made the save, Seamak had skated right in front of him. Great save.
Well, Joe Nieuwendyk, who attends Cornell University, will be a guest of Ryan Williams between periods. We'll also take a look at some of the highlights of yesterday's play in this World Junior Tournament, and we'll update this 1986 World Championship here at the Cops Coliseum.
A lot of talk around among scouts and staffs of teams. They feel that Nieuwendyk, if he keeps playing well these last two games, may be the tournament MVP for Team Canada. Yeah, that's how well he has played. But Jem was fine for the Calgary Flames, a second rounder with him.
Seamak trying to set something up. Takes the shot, he scores! A screen shot as Hyderov went to the front of the net, and Billington did not see it as it was along the ice, and Seamak found the far corner. It's tied at 1.
Seamak waited and waited and waited, had nowhere to go with the puck, and Hyderov got himself in a good position. Look at him get his position now. Just as he skates in front, that's when Billington had opened his legs, thinking there's going to be a pass, and he's going to have to move across to one side or the other. Here we'll see Billington's got perfect position, but he opens the legs and right through the middle of them. Those people standing in front in those situations, Don, have to be moved out of the way. There's no question. You have to let your goaltender have some vision. Good shot by Seamak. Power play goal, by the way.
This is the third World Championship for Seamak. He played in both 84 and 85. The Soviets have 10 players on the roster who participated in last year's tournament. Canada has 4 players who were part of that gold medal winning effort in 1985.
Fedotov gets the assist on Seamak's second goal of the tournament. For Seamak, he also has 5 assists with those 2 goals.
Well, Canada did a most effective job on killing off that penalty until that shot by Seamak found the range. Now it's Peter Duras back at his own net for Canada. The score is tied at 1. Kamensky steals the puck at the blue line, dumps it into the corner. It goes loose. Delmar out of line, got it around to the other side, and Roberts dumped it into the center ice area. Now here's a chance for the Soviets. Brought in by Turgeyev. Turgeyev is sent flying in the corner. Odeline comes in to bump a Soviet player. A loose puck. Duras along the boards, gets it out into the center ice area, having difficulty controlling it there against Kravchuk. Now Viveros following up on the play fires it into the Soviet zone. As both sides change, this will be an icing call against Canada with 31 seconds remaining in the period.
You know, Viveros had that puck one step from center ice with nobody around him, and he fired it in, and that's what caused the icing. He takes one more step, and it would not have been icing.
The face-off to the left of Billington with the score tied at 1. In Canada's 2 gold medal winning years, they shut out the Soviets both times, 7-0 in Winnipeg in 1981-82 and 5-0 last year in Turku, Finland. The Soviets, Galchenyuk laying it around on the boards. Seepoff is bumped. It comes out into the center ice area. Soviets trying to regroup and set something up. It's dumped in. And there's a whistle on the play, and an icing call against the Soviet Union, or an offside call, I guess it is, at the Canadian blue line with just 2 seconds remaining in the period.
Craig Billington has been the star the last 2 years in goal for Team Canada. In 84-85, he won the Bobby Smith Trophy, the Ontario Hockey League Scholastic Player of the Year when he played for the Belleville Bulls. He was also a first-team All-Star that year. Quality goalkeeper. Don, Canada's got to stay out of the penalty box. It's a matter of time before the Soviet Union will control on their power play. They would They were 1 for 3 that period. A 1-1 score. Entertaining to watch.
A very entertaining 20 minutes of play here at the Cops Coliseum as Terry Simpson shoots daggers at the official, Dag Olson, over at the officials' bench. 1-1, and our first period intermission is coming right up.
But the great fans here in Hamilton, another sellout crowd, the third straight game at the Cops Coliseum. There were two very important games played yesterday in Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. Canada had a tough time with Finland, and the Soviets beat the Czechs by only 1 goal. The game played yesterday at the Memorial Gardens in London, Ontario. Let's have a look at the highlights from those two games. Yesterday at the Memorial Gardens in London, Ontario, the Soviet Union remaining undefeated, defeating the Czechs by a score of 4-3. In the first period, Valery Kamensky, a couple of nice moves to split the defense, and the Soviets had the lead by 1. Still in that first period, Yuri Nikonov will score as the Soviets. Here's the pass out to Nikonov. They make it 2-0 in the first period. We move now to the second period of play. Vladimir Kastok scores for the USSR, and they led by a score of 3-1. Now another Soviet goal. This one is scored by Kovalev. In the second period, the crowd was pro-Czechoslovakia, but it looked to be all over at this point as the Soviets led by 4-1. Now a controversial play leads to a penalty shot. This is Robert Kron. He is pulled down in front of the Soviet net. He is awarded the penalty shot. I was very, very impressed with this young man's play, even though they lost to the United States here on Friday. Here's the goal from the right side by Kron. They trailed then 4-2, went on to lose by only a goal, 4-3. Meanwhile, at the same time, Canada was playing at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto to remain undefeated. I'll tell you, though, they really received a scare from the Finns. Here's a goal by Cantola in the first period. You cannot say enough about the play of this young Finnish team. Smaller in size, they were so very, very tough. The Canadians tied the score. Shane Corson, who had 2 goals in our telecast against the United States. At this point, it was 1-1. The Finns led 2-1. They led 3-2. Now in the second period, watch this shot by Captain Jim Sandlack, number 26. It's unbelievable. It is simply a bullet. And at that point, Canada led 4-3. Still in the second period, Luke Robitaille from the Hull Olympic scores for Canada. And they lead by 2 after 2 controversial penalties against Finland. 5-3, 14 Canada. Also in the second period, Mikko Laaksonen brings the Finns back to within 1 goal. The score was now 5-4, and it was anything but over. Canada's winning goal is scored by Sylvain Cote in the third period. After some nice passing by Mike Stapleton, the final 6-5, and that, of course, set up tonight's match with the Soviet Union. Those games played yesterday in Toronto and London. There are 3 games playing tonight. Let's check that World Junior Hockey scoreboard. We have a final score in from Brantford, where Czechoslovakia has shut out Finland. The Czechs play the Canadians here Saturday afternoon. They're still in the hunt for a bronze medal. The other 2 games of no importance in the medal race. Joining me now is no stranger to hockey, our Federal Minister of Sport.
Making its way onto the playing surface here at Cops Coliseum. With that power play goal by Seamack, they have tied it at 1. Soviet Union winning the gold in 77, the first official year of the World Championship, but they followed up in 78, 79, and 80. They won the bronze in 81, the only year they were shut out. The first time Canada won the gold in 1982. The Soviets came back in 83 and 84 to win the gold. They settled for the bronze last year when Canada again won the gold. So it would seem, John Davidson, that when Canada does well, the Soviet Union doesn't do too well. They miss the medals or they take the bronze.
It seems to have been that way, but they're both very, very close. We saw by the play in the first periods. Canada played with great emotion, and it's hard to say Jim Sandlack don't take a penalty, but they do play with emotion. They play with great emotion. Canada has always played their best when they play emotional, Don.
In that first period, the Soviet Union outshot the Canadian team by a score of 13-11. The scoring summary, Corson with his 6th goal of the tournament from Sylvain Cote at 6:36, and then Semak from Fedotov tied it up at 18:30, and the Soviet Union, as mentioned, outshot Canada. 3 penalties in that first period, all against the Canadians, and that Soviet goal, the result of a charging call against Jim Sandlak. He was in the penalty box when Semak scored. Sherry Basson, the general manager of the Canadian team, has been noted for delivering inspirational messages on the eve and just prior to the very big games. He did it in Winnipeg in the 1981-82 tournament in Finland last year, and before the game, as we saw in our pre-game show, he went around the room talking to the players, and he said that his message this year was very simple. Gentlemen, 60 minutes to go.
And they're counting down, 40 left. When you look at that Soviet team, you think about experience. Of their 20 players that were in the tournament last year, 16 of those players last year had never played against a North American team. Of those 16 players, 14 were eligible for this year's tournament, and there's 10 of them here. So we have to think, as this game wears on, that Russian or Soviet team has great experience.
Beloshakin, the Soviet goaltender, a protege of Tretyak, the outstanding goalie of these Soviet national teams for many years. Sean Davidson, do you notice any similarities in their style?
Well, one thing, he's not near as good as Tretyak was, but they do play similar, and they're down on their knees a lot, and they kick the legs out in what they call a butterfly style. He did have some tutoring from Tretyak, and there's where you do see those similarities in style.
Moylan picks it up in the center ice area. Robitaille gives it back to Moylan. He goes cross ice for Mellanby. Mellanby gets away from the check as he dumps it into the corner. It comes out into the center ice area. Moylan has to wait for Mellanby to get back onside, then he dumps it in. Tatarinov for the Soviets back after. He takes the check. Mellanby with the staple and a shot over the net. Mellanby has been very effective with the body. He has been hitting every red jersey in sight. Now a loose puck picked up and brought out by Semak. He has the Soviet goal. Across the line, the Soviets like to use that drop pass. He tried to drop it off. It was picked off by Canada. They come back with Mellanby trying to get set. Mellanby looking for someone to pass to. Goes to the side of the net. They get it in front of Stapleton. He couldn't get a shot away. Stapleton now tries to center it. Beloshakin clears it to the board. At the line, Partner with a drive and hits Fedotov and goes to the corner. Robitaille puts it back to the net for Mellanby. He's bodied against the boards by Tatarinov. Mellanby manages to get that puck out. Centered it, and Robitaille couldn't get a stick on it. Now Partner winds up. His shot bounces off Hyderov and all the way back into the Canadian zone. Billington leaves it in the corner for Cote. He dumps it off for Carter. We played a minute and a half of the second period. The score is 5-1. Plays it around on the boards, and it's broke out into the center ice area. Osipov working in against Viveros, going to his backhand the shot, and Billington makes the save, and Viveros rammed Osipov into the end boards after he got that backhand shot away. Kravchuk breaks up the play and dumps it into the center ice area. Osipov to Kamensky. Kamensky is hit by Overline. The puck picked up by Osipov. He scores! On the backhand. Two Canadian players stepped into the Soviets. Kamensky and Osipov picked up the loose puck and went to the backhand for the goal.
Exactly right, Don. When two players go for one Soviet player, leaves somebody open. Osipov has great speed. He picked up the loose puck and simply went to the outside. Now watch everybody make the body checks here. Osipov picks up that loose puck, and around he goes with great speed. Viveros had moved up with with Odeline and made the big play. Osipov's got great speed, Don, and he certainly took advantage of it, went around everybody as Viveros and Odeline got mixed up with each other.
And Kamensky paid the price as he took the hit and making the play. Oh, there's a big hit in open ice as Davidoff is decked by Moylan. The puck slides into the Soviet zone. Corson collides with the Soviet player. The puck goes loose. Now it's poked out into the center ice area. Davidoff working against Cote. Cote takes it down. The puck goes loose in the corner, and it's whistled down. There's going to be a penalty, a cross-checking call. And the Soviet players down on the ice.
Neuendijk's going to get caught for cross-check. Newendijk gets the cross-checking penalty deep in that Soviet zone. The Soviet Union are 1 for 3 on their power play in this hockey game. Well, watch. There's the original check. Along the boards by Alain Cote. And then the penalty was taken by Newendijk. So the Soviets 1 for 3, and that was that goal from a bad angle through a screen on Billington. It's going to be a crucial time of the hockey game, Don.
The fourth consecutive penalty against Canada. 17:20 remaining in the second period. The Soviets in front 2-1. At the end of the first period, Terry Simpson and the Canadian team upset with a high stickage infraction by Kovalev just as the siren sounded against Shane Corson. He threw his stick right up in Corson's face just as the period ended, and there was no penalty on the play, and that's what Coach Terry Simpson was very upset about. Diaz Meekin in across the line. Konstantinov was ahead of the play offside.
He was ahead of the play because Corson draped his arms around him and pulled him offside, and Corson was very, very fortunate that his team weren't having 2 men in the penalty box right now. He simply pulled down the Soviet player. Take another look at that go-ahead goal. Now watch Viveros, number 3. He's going to go and try and find that loose puck. The bad judgment, he wasn't sure if he could get it or not, and Osipov with great speed to get around Billington. Billington was back a little deep on that play too, Don. Perhaps be a little more challenging when when a guy's coming in from an angle like that and use the goal stick.
Canadian team firing it down the ice with 1:30 remaining in the penalty to Joe Newendijk. Katharinov leads the Soviets out of their own zone on the right side to Yapanenko. Over to the other side now to Fedotov. Fedotov in the corner. Back to the line. Katharinov to Diaz Meekin. Katharinov back to Diaz Meekin. Cross ice to Fedotov. Fakes the shot. Fedotov having difficulty there with Conroy. Goes back to the net. Konstantinov tied up by Viveros. The puck comes loose along the board. Diaz Meekin now at the top of the circle. Takes the shot. Hits the leg. He gets it again. A shot right on. And Billington makes the save. Loose puck in front of the net. Diaz Meekin back to the line. Fedotov over to Tatarinov. His shot deflected in front. Loose puck in that Canadian zone. And finally it's brought out by Conroy with 40 seconds remaining in the penalty. Conroy is stopped by Tatarinov. There's going to be a penalty against the Soviet Union. Konstantinov behind the play.
Konstantinov pulled down Shane Corson way behind the play, and that's going to negate what time the Soviets had left on their power play, 37 seconds to be exact. A cross-checking call. You saw the sign from Dag Olsen. Watch way behind the play. The puck's going to go up ice. Right there you see him get knocked down by Konstantinov. The power play for the Soviets, they kept the puck to the outside again, didn't get many glaring scoring opportunities, but the rest of it's been negated. Team Canada now will play 37 seconds with just 4 skaters apiece, 5 including the goalkeepers, but again we have to mention that's a different rule.
37 seconds remaining in the penalty to Newendijk. Konstantinov in the penalty box for the Soviet Union. The first penalty against the Soviets in this hockey game. In the center ice area, Cote having difficulty controlling it as it was poked away from him by Kravchuk at the line. Now Seaman cutting in on the right side in front, and it was deflected wide by Nikolaev.
Hey, Murphy came back real well with him. Joe Murphy's not noted for his defensive play. He came back and made a play which may have saved a goal.
Lead pass intended for Murphy across 2 lines. 11 seconds remaining in the penalty to Newendijk, and then Canada will have its first power play opportunity.
Greg Billington plans to study philosophy at the University of Western Ontario during next summer. Now watch the puck go in front of the net, and watch Murphy come right back with the Soviet player, knocks the puck away as he was back-checking deep in his own zone, and that was a super play by young Joe Murphy defensively.
Greg Billington, who this year has played 3 games with the New Jersey Devils of the National Hockey League and has won all 3, played his junior hockey with the Belleville Bulls. Racing back into his own zone is Salyanin. He's hammered into the boards. Puck poked up to the line and into the center ice area. Now Canada with Newendijk stepping onto the ice has an advantage. A pass almost intercepted. Picked off now by Viveros, too far for Newendijk. It slides into the Soviet zone. Soviets Soviets trying to get it out of there. They're having some problems with the Canadian forechecking. They tie it up back to the net for a face-off, and again, some shoving after the whistle.
The only time that the Canadian hockey clubs had good goal-scoring opportunities in this game is when they've really bottled up that Soviet defense, forechecking deep in the Soviet corners. They've controlled those corners, but it hasn't happened that often. The puck hasn't been back to that often. Here they 2-on-1, Monikov, and he gets nailed, pushing and shoving again after the whistle. That has to be controlled if Canada are going to try and win this hockey game. You know, the thing is we have to really mention again, Don, is emotions are part of the way Canada plays international hockey. And if they can be under control, under wraps, they're better for it, but they can't play without emotions. You have to remember that too.
Loose puck. Back to the line to Cote. Over to the other point. A shot by Viveros. That did not get through. And as you pointed out in the first period, John, the Soviet team, they block a lot of shots with their defensemen. Into the slot to Duras. He couldn't get a shot away. And the Soviets bring it up. Kovalev across the Canadian line. He's checked. Viveros now trying to set something up, starting back for Canada to Murphy. Murphy dodges one check, got in across the line, was spun around, and the Soviets clear it.
Soviets stood up the blue line very well that time. Canada, no way they were going to make a play at that blue line. Dump it in, get going, get some speed going.
Robitaille in the center ice area, almost lost it. Brought in by Duras, but it hit a leg and bounces out to the neutral zone. Just 11 seconds remaining in the man advantage. Duras tries again. Duras at the line, has it poked away, and the Soviets will effectively kill off this penalty. Here's Murphy coming to the line, stopped there. The Soviets are back at full strength. It's brought in offside by Cote.
Canada continued to try and get over the blue line by handling the puck, making a play, dump it in if it's impossible to get across. Soviets super penalty killing.
The Soviets attempting to wrest the gold from Canada, leading here in the second. 13:54 is the time left in the second. The Soviet Union leading 2-1.
Don, we'll see quite a battle here the rest of the way. The best line for the Soviets is this line, number 8, 9, and 10, C-Mac centering it. The best line for Canada is the line that's on the ice, centered by Nieuwendyk. They're going to go head-to-head probably the rest of the way. It's going to be fun to watch.
Sylvain Cote back into his own zone. Being chased there by C-Mac, gets it ahead to Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk flips it down into the zone. Sandlak trying to gain possession of that puck and was bodied off it by Kravchuk. Nikitin loses it to Nieuwendyk. Nieuwendyk to Shane Corson. He was checked as he attempted to follow up on the play. Rink-wide pass now. The Soviets in across the line. Drop pass for Hyderov. Hyderov couldn't find anyone to center it to as he was taken in against the board. And the Canadian team comes back, and the Soviet player is down at the line. And the fans here in the Cops Coliseum react when these Soviet players go down. They appear to be great actors because the two previous players who were hit and went down, I'm thinking particularly of Vyazminkin, got up and came back on the very next shift.
I'm not sure who that is down on the ice, if that's Nikonov or not. Number 8. Yes, it is, Nikonov. The left winger on this big line.
Well, this one may well be a legitimate injury because we saw him this morning in the workout go down in the corner with what appeared to be something of a groin pull.
Yeah, and he's flexing his left leg. To be very honest, I didn't see what happened. It was behind the plate on.
13:10 is the time remaining in the second period of this gold medal battle in Hamilton. A lot of support for this Canadian team here at the Cops Coliseum. Many of the spectators wearing T-shirts with the maple leaf emblazoned across the front or the back, and many of the spectators coming into the building with Canadian flags. Sergeyev brought in across the line by Laxdal, tied up. Still managed to dig the puck out. Kamensky took a shot. It went wide. Now Oderline goes back of his own net, up on the left side for Roberts. Roberts over on the right wing for Conroy. Conroy dodges a check at the line. Still managed to poke the puck behind the net. The Soviets trying to get it out of there. Viveros pinching in from the point, but it's controlled by the Soviets. And Mona Engtop brings it down the ice and into the Canadian zone before he's bumped to fall down. And the Canadian team now takes over in its own end. Viveros up on the right side to Laxdal. A rink-wide pass. Conroy had difficulty controlling it. Races after it in the Soviet zone. Gets it to the goal mouth. And it was deflected by Roberts, who was tied up as Belosheikin made the save. Now the Soviets come back. 3-on-2. At the line, Moylan trying to take it away from Osipov. Osipov is successful. And back comes Conroy. Conroy on the right side. For Code. Code tried to slide it out front. Now Melody gets it to Code. Code didn't see where it was. And the Soviet player, Fedotov, rifles it around the boards and into the neutral zone. 11:45 remaining in the second period. The Soviets leading by 1. It was 1-1 after 20 minutes. Dorgayev lost it at the line. Lead pass for Robitaille from Moylan across 2 lines.
Luke Robitaille getting lots of ice time in this particular game. Draft choice for the Los Angeles Kings. 171st overall. He plays for Hull, which is owned by Wayne Gretzky, of all people. Wayne Gretzky and David Foster, of course, from the music industry. There's Scott Mellanby. He's having a great game again. Bobby Clark stated publicly that he thought Mellanby could step right in and play with the Flyers right now. I talked to Mike Keenan the other night when Mike Keenan and the Flyers were in Edmonton. He says that he's pleasantly surprised with the way that Mellanby's offensive skills are starting to come and show a little bit better.
And, of course, he should fit in well with that Philadelphia system because he uses the body most effectively.
Well, he sure does. And he does it effectively, Don. He doesn't play it stupidly. He takes the body well, wins the battle for the puck. The thing is, when he's getting the puck, he doesn't throw it blind. He controls it, or else what they call eat it. He'll take that face-off instead of giving it away.
Loose puck in the Canadian zone. Played back to the Soviet line. Tatarinov goes rink wide with it. And Kovalev shoots it into the Canadian zone as the Soviets make a change. Played ahead to Murphy. Murphy dodges a check at his own line. Greenlaw going for the net. Oh! He got in behind Belosheikin and slid it to the far side and hit the post.
Belosheikin made a bad play on that particular play by Greenlaw. Belosheikin was lucky.
10:43 is the time remaining in this second period.
Greenlaw was very, very close to tying the game up. But watch Belosheikin. He has no need to go right out, way over to the left side of the crease. Greenlaw saw that and just skidded to the outside of the goalpost. Close call for both teams.
From the faceoff, points up, and Belosheikin makes the save. And then Corson is driven right into the Soviet goaltender Belosheikin, and the net is moved off its moorings. Vladimir Vasilyev, the coach of this Soviet team, not related to Valery Vasilyev, who for a number of years was one of the stars of the Soviet national squad.
Here's that face-off, which was controlled by Team Canada. Watch everybody drive for that net. Belosheikin, there's that Tretiak style where he goes down in that butterfly position. Corson follows through. Wasn't pushed or anything, but Belosheikin held onto that puck for another face-off in the same spot.
This time the Soviets get the draw. Monenkov gets it around on the boards, and it's cleared out to the center ice area. Nikonov, who took that hit and had to be helped out, knocked back out there for the Soviet squad. From the line, a blast hit the leg, bounced out into the center ice area. Viveros back into his own zone for Canada. Plays it ahead for Corson across the line, a 2-line pass. That is whistled down.
You know, this goalkeeper Billington's very, very technically sound in his goalkeeping play, but he was telling me he looks at these face-off circles to monitor how he should play the angles. He says the face-off circles are painted 3 inches too far away from the boards on both sides of the ice, and he says that throws him off a little bit with his angles. Now, he must be really technically sound if he can tell 3 inches.
Were you ever that precise in your preparation?
Are you kidding me?
JD,
you tell everybody I was technically sound, but I was a long ways from it.
You just filled up the net for the New York Rangers.
There
it
you
didn't
go
really matter.
again.
You were big enough. A shot right on, and Billington takes it up on the shoulder pad off the blast by Kamensky.
Belosheikin, there you see how they keep the bottom of those goal pads tied right underneath that blade of the goal skate. He wears knee pads inside of those goal pads and on the outside of his socks, his hockey socks. Try and take away some of the sting from the slap shots. Wears the cage. The Russians, Soviets were the first to wear the cages that I had seen.
You made a comment this morning. It wasn't difficult to tell which Soviet goaltender was going to play. The one with the new equipment in the morning workout was the man who was going to be between the pipes. Oleg Bratash is the backup for the Soviets.
Bratash is the backup, and his equipment looked like it. Well, it's pretty old. Let's just put it that way. I don't know how he'd go in there and play with this stuff, but Beloshakin, the number one goalkeeper. There we take a look at Bratash. He played a game last year. He was with his club last year. He plays in a junior league in the Soviet Union still. Not playing for an elite club, which is the number one league in the Soviet Union. Boy, oh boy, I hate to be a backup goaltender for that team. They keep the shots down on their number one goalkeeper, and if you're the backup, it's up off the shoulders and crossbars and not much fun.
Carl Gump Worsley, a scout for the New York Rangers, made that comment this morning. He said, boy, did they ever whistle it around that fella's head in that morning workout. Conroy in across the line. He is checked by Nikitin. The puck cleared to the line. The Soviets having problems getting it out, and it's kept in by Canada. 9:33 is the time remaining in the second. The Soviets in front by a score of 2-1. Yelenshiak brings it out into the Canadian zone. Carter is bumped. Puck is loose. Played around the boards, but kept in there by Kravchuk. Kovalev tried to play it back to the point. Laxdal was there to deflect it out to center ice. 9:07 left in the second. It's a 2-1 game. The Soviets in front. A winner will claim the gold medal in this World Junior Tournament. On the right side now. Diaz Minkin cutting for the net. Backhand shot. He slides right into the goal post. He's hurt. He lost his balance as he let that backhand go, and he crashed right into the goal post.
I'll tell you, Don, he's a great hockey player, this Diaz Minkin. You can see why they talk about him in the Soviet Union. He showed some speed, got around the defenseman, and made a good goal-scoring opportunity. And thank goodness those goal nets released from those moorings, or he could have been seriously hurt. 8:53 left in the second. The Soviet Union ahead by 1 in a great game. 2 years ago, Diaz Minkin was the star of the club that won the gold medal in Sweden in the junior tournament there. Watch the play to the outside. He keeps body control. He's got lots of speed. He makes a good play. Billington covers up that short side by controlling the puck, and there you see Diaz Minkin slide right into that goal post, and what a collision that was. He appears to be all right. I see now, Don, that Nikonov has not missed a shift. Number 8, he was the last Soviet that had fallen to injury. He hasn't missed a shift.
8:40 remaining in the period. Pass intercepted by the Soviets. Nikonov is the man who picked it off at the line and lost control of it, and it's dumped down the ice. Canada having trouble penetrating that Soviet defense in this second period, with the same success they had in the opening 20 minutes.
You're absolutely right. Patience is now a key. It's a one-goal hockey game. Just keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. Don't take too many chances, or those Soviets are just going to jump on those opportunities that they'll find.
Greenlaw shoots it in. Salyanov plays it up around the boards. A race for that loose puck. And the Soviet player Semak got there first and dumped it into the Canadian corner. And there's going to be a penalty, I believe, against Odeline.
A definite hook. He got beat to the outside, and he reached out with his stick and pulled down the Soviet player.
So the Soviet Union, leading by a goal, will have its 5th power play opportunity of this World Championship gold medal bout.
Odeline gets the hooking penalty. The Soviet Union 1 for 4 on their power play. Now watch Semak with great speed. Watch Odeline with his hockey stick pull him down from behind. There's the speed of the Soviet Union to their advantage. And their power play working again. Semak has a power play goal for the hockey club.
Back to the line. Tatharinov with a shot. Toe save by Billington. He had to react quickly. And there's in the Canadian zone right in front of the official, Dag Olsen. And Olsen did not make any move. Tatharinov fell to the ice as though he had been injured, and he was the individual who was guilty of charging. Fans reacting. They are still booing center ice area now, picked up by Torgayev. He drops it back to Tatarinov, to Torgayev. He was unable to touch it, and that is a pistol ball against the Soviets. Terry Simpson, undefeated as a coach in World Junior Championship play. And Tatarinov had a number of comments to make in the Hamilton press coming into this game about how he wanted to get certain Canadian players as a result of last year.
Here's that play by Tatarinov as he takes down one of the Canadian players. Yes, he did mention that he lost part of one of his front teeth in a game, and he also felt that he was viciously attacked and hit by the Canadian players Wendell Clark and Jim Sandlak, and then he was out for the rest of the tournament. They were both good body checks because I was there and saw them. But he's the leader of the hockey club, and he's getting underneath a lot of people's skin right now. And that's his tactic, and that's what makes him a good player.
Well, when he indicates that Dave Schultz is one of his favorite players, you understand the makeup of this young man. The Canadian team takes over in its own zone and manages to clear it. Now Nikitin shoots it in for the Soviet Union. Billington is there to stop it. Cote plays it around the boards and down the ice with 43 seconds remaining in the penalty total line. 6:39 the time left in this second period. Canada trailing by 1. Galchenyuk gets it over to Gapenko. Gapenko lost it at the line. Viveros to Karkner. He clears the zone. The Soviets come back. Miazmikin trying to set something up. Miazmikin not very popular with these Hamilton fans as he slid it to the side of the goal. It's held for a face-off by Billington.
Just 15 seconds left in that power play for the Soviets.
Well, Brian Williams will be talking to Murray Costello between periods. John Davidson will be making his way down to that Canadian bench to talk to a member of this 1986 Canadian squad. And we'll also be bringing you highlights of the battle between Finland and Czechoslovakia that was played earlier today. And Canada winds up the tournament on Saturday against Czechoslovakia. You'll see that game Saturday afternoon on CBC Sports Weekend. 15 seconds remaining in the penalty to Selmar Odeline. Now Conroy and Gapenko are waved out of the face-off circle. And that puck was dropped illegally. I believe it fell out of the hand of the Japanese lineman, Hidenori Nakawaka.
Actually, the stick from one of the centermen came up and caught his hand. He's done a pretty good job. Very prestigious for these linesmen to be able to come in different countries and be used in this tournament. They changed linesmen here for the dropping of the puck.
Now Sylvain Cote is bumped in against the board. The puck comes back to the line. A shot deflected at the goal mouth. Gapenko tried to deflect that blast from the point by Selyanin. Selyanin gets it again. His shot is blocked. Another shot from the point. Canada back at full strength. Billington drops on that loose puck as Conroy comes in along with Karkner to deck one of the Soviet players, and he falls on top of the American linesman Jeff Shell at the side of the Canadian net.
Miazmikin now getting mixed up with Shane Corson. Lots of body work by Terry Simpson's hockey club in front of the net. Now, we mentioned on their power play they love to use the points. Every time they had the puck on that last shift, they were shooting the puck from the points. So as defensemen have to be aware of that action and try and knock people out from in front of the net. Now there's the screen set up perfectly. Now the Canadian players come over and try and knock that screen out of the way. Nikonov standing in front, trying to screen Billington.
These shots from the point, something different for the Soviet team on the power play too, John. They used to try and work that perfect give-and-go passing play to score those power play goals.
Well, the thing is, with this Soviet team here, it's not the most skilled hockey club they've ever had in this tournament, so they feel that's the best way that they're going to be powerful on that power play, get it back to the point, nothing fancy, and shoot the puck as much as possible. You take a look at Konstantinov, one of the bigger players in the hockey club. He comes from a city far away, Siberia. That's 6,000-odd miles away from Moscow. Huge, huge country. Over 2 million hockey players in the Soviet Union.
A lot of hockey players to choose from in the Soviet Union. And they have developed some outstanding teams over the years. Drop pass at the line, picked off by Nieuwendyk to Sandlak, the captain of the Canadian team. Fakes the shot, goes to the outside, tries to get it in front to Nieuwendyk, and it was blocked, and back comes the Soviet Union. Good move by Sandlak as he faked that shot to drop the defenseman and then tried to get it in front, but unfortunately for the Canadian team, it was blocked. Seamak back into the zone to Tatarinov. Tatarinov gets away from Nieuwendyk. Another good move at the Canadian line. Looking for Seamak, the puck bounces high, and the Canadian player Viveros gets that loose puck and puts it to the other side to Mellanby. Mellanby moves away from Kamensky, ahead to Shane Corson. Corson shoots it into the Soviet goal, and then hauls down the Soviet player Fedotov right in front of the penalty box. No whistle, and the two players are still entangled. Great wide pass as Zvikov attempts to take a shot, and the two players, Corson and Fedotov, were back pushing and shoving in the neutral zone right in front of the penalty box, and the officials, all three of them, totally oblivious to what was going on.
Dag Olsen actually looked back and saw it. He put the whistle to his mouth once done, didn't want to blow it dead, but Shane Corson's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to end up taking a bad penalty. It's a 2-1 hockey game. Very key part of the game coming up. Dag Olsen having a tough time trying to keep things under control here as the second period winds down. Now the puck's gone way into the corner. Watch Corson pull down the Soviet player. Now they're going to wrestle. And I'll tell you, this is not wrestling. It's supposed to be ice hockey. They laid there for a good 30 seconds.
Kravchuk from the faceoff. Let him blast open the point that just went by. Now Stapleton in his own zone, having trouble moving it out of there. The Soviets doing a good job of forechecking here and applying pressure. 4 minutes remaining in this second period. The Soviets leading by a score of 2-1. They have scored the only goal of the second period. Kartner in his own zone. Gets it ahead to Stapleton. Stapleton into the center ice area to Robitaille. Robitaille, good move to get around the defender. Puts on the brakes. Dumps it into the corner to Mellanby. Mellanby looking back to the point. Nobody was in position. And Viveros has to race back into his own zone after it. Viveros plays for the Prince Albert Raiders. Now a lead pass for Murphy. Murphy gets the shot away. Bellows-Shaken made the save. And Murphy was unable to fire the rebound. Dug out by Robitaille. His backhand goes wide, and the puck is deflected over the glass and out of play.
Real good pressure by the Canadian Hockey Club. Sylvain Cote, teammates putting pressure on. Sylvain Cote, 2 years ago, played 67 games with the Hartford Whalers. This year, not as much action as the team went with different defensemen, even though he stayed there for the year. You know, when they had a Pee-wee tournament way back in '79 in Quebec City, Sylvain Cote was the MVP of that tournament. Scott Mellanby played in it.
And Cote yesterday celebrated his 20th birthday.
All right.
And he'd like to continue that celebration tonight by adding a gold medal. 3:18 remaining in the second period. 2-1, the Soviet Union leads Canada in a highly entertaining hockey game here at the Cops Coliseum. Capacity crowd watching the action. Canadian games in this building against the United States, Sweden. This one against the Soviet Union, and Saturday's game against Czechoslovakia. Total sellouts. Loose puck in the center ice area. Greenlaw dumps it in for Canada. Fedotov back after it, plays it around in the boards. Odeline manages to keep it in. Odeline dumps it into the corner to Peter Duras. Duras is bumped and hauled down by Fedotov. No whistle, and the fans react again. Racing back after it is Odeline. An icing call against the Soviet Union. Joe Murphy, a young man many feel will be one of the top 1 or 2 or maybe 3rd pick in the draft. And Joe Murphy has been one of the scoring stars for this Canadian team. He attends Michigan State. And that June draft taking place this year in Montreal. A blast from the point. deflected and cleared into the center ice area. Now it's Roberts dropping it off on the wing. Conroy tried to center it. It was deflected by the Soviets back out into the center ice area. The Canadian team has to go back to regroup. Seamack ahead to Hyderov. Hyderov trying to cut in. Gets it out front. The Soviet player at the side of the net, Nikonov, is knocked flying. The puck is loose right in the goal crease. They jam away at it, and finally it's deflected to the corner. Seamack gets it back to the point. Fired into the corner by Kravchuk. It comes around to the other side to Nikitin. The Soviet player Hyderov is dumped at the blue line. As the puck came out, it was fired back in and touched there by Nikonov. Whistle down on the offside. And then the Canadian player, Laxdal, coming in across the line, took an elbow. He went down, but Dag Olsen did not blow the whistle. And now Shane Corson is getting involved. And then Soviet bench, as emotions continue to run very high in this gold medal battle. Laxdal is out there now. In front of the Canadian bench. He appears to be okay. But the Canadian team almost fell behind by 2 on this scramble in front of the Canadian net. Now Dag Olsen, the official, moves right into the crease, and finally that puck is poked off into the corner. He certainly had a close-up view of that puck as it lay in that Canadian crease. 1:51 remaining in this second period. John Davidson has made his way down to the Canadian bench and will be talking to a member of this 1986 tournament squad at the conclusion of this period. Nieuwendyk in that face-off circle against Torgeyev. He got the draw back. It's played over to Kartner. He shoots it into the Soviet zone, deflected in front of the net. Loose puck, backhand shot. And Nieuwendyk hit the side of the net. Shane Corson has it now. And the Canadian player, Sandlak, is absolutely involved in the Soviet goal crease, and there is going to be a penalty. Salyanin hauled down Sandlak in the goal crease. Not only did he haul him down, he held him down. And with 1:36 remaining in the period, Canada will go to the power play. This is only the second power play opportunity. Now watch this in the goal crease. Salyanin absolutely hauls Sandlak down and holds him down. No question about that call, although it took a while for Dag Olsen to blow the whistle. That previous Canadian power play was not a full 2 minutes, as it came about a minute and a half into a Canadian penalty. Now it's Sandlak, the captain, back to the line. Stapleton with a shot off the leg to the corner. Nieuwendyk plays it back to the net. Corson was knocked down in front of the net by Fedotov. The fans reacted again. Picked up by the Soviets, brought out. They're checked at the line. Loose puck. The Canadian team takes over. Corson down the right wing, working against Fedotov. He puts on the brakes, shoots it around on the board. Pitching in from the point is Stapleton. Sandlak comes in to check the Soviet player, Galchenyuk. And I believe there's a penalty again. Yes, there is. As Olsen calls a high sticking penalty against the Canadian team captain. And some of the spectators here in the Cops Coliseum not impressed with the work of Dag Olsen, and they are letting him know, and they have also directed several projectiles his way. So Terry Simpson tries to calm his troops down. Here's the penalty call. And Sandlak decks Galchenyuk in that Soviet zone. Not much question about the call. Coming into this game, the Soviet Union was the most penalized team with 88 minutes assessed against them, while Canada ranked 4th, having been penalized for 62 minutes. Finland and the United States, the least penalized teams in the tournament. 1:02 remaining in this second period. And the teams are now playing 5 aside. Now it's Sylvain Cote. Back to his own line to Viveros. Viveros tried to dump it in on the right side. However, it was whistled down as Conroy had preceded the puck across the line. Kravchuk, one of 10 Soviet players who was with the team at the Junior World Championship last year in Finland, a year that saw this Soviet team win the bronze medal. 50 seconds remaining in the period. Both teams undefeated, winning their first 5 games. The Soviet Union, 1 game remaining against Finland. Canada will wind up the tournament Saturday against Czechoslovakia. Murphy in across the line. Conroy breaking for the net. Just deflected by Beloshakin. He just got a piece of that deflection by Conroy. Now it's Murphy in the Canadian zone with 30 seconds remaining in the period. Great opportunity there for Canada with Conroy almost tying it at 2. Kravchuk on the right side for Viasmikin. It's poked away from him by Corson. He takes his man to the board. Still got a stick on it. Seamack now to Viasmikin, back of the net. Viasmikin with 8 seconds remaining tried to play it back to the point. Kravchuk was not in position, and that should end the period as he fires it to the Canadian line. And it's knocked down. Well, Joe Murphy made a pretty play to Al Conroy in the final minute of this period that almost tied the game at 2 as he broke down the right side and slid it across to the young player from the Medicine Hat Tigers. Watch the deflection, and Beloshakin, sprawling, just got a piece of it as he fell to deflect it by the post. Again, Murphy to the backhand. Conroy deflecting it. Beloshakin fell, but his foot came across, and the puck was deflected wide. So the Canadian team, 5-0 winners over this Soviet squad in Turku, Finland, en route to the gold medal in the 1985 World Junior Tournament. Trailing by a
score of 2-1 after 2 periods of play. Welcome back to our control studio at the Copps Coliseum. 3 other games on the schedule tonight. Let's begin with highlights from a game in Brantford, Ontario between Czechoslovakia and Finland. Now, the Czechs yesterday were defeated 4-3 by the Soviets in London, Ontario. The Czechs played a very strong game. They still have a chance at a bronze medal, as does Finland. Finland went into Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto yesterday and played a tough game against Canada. Let's pick it up tonight in Brantford, Ontario. Some good, entertaining hockey between Czechoslovakia and the Finns. Miroslav Landsman was very strong in goal tonight for the Czechs. Here he is in the first period. A scoreless first period. The Finnish coach Joktika could not believe it. Now, the Finnish goaltender, Lehkonen, so strong yesterday against Team Canada. Here he is in the second period. He had his share of big saves. In the second period, the first goal of the game, the big fella, some great moves. Mikkel Pivonka, an outstanding player, drafted by David Poyle in the Washington Capitals. That was at 15:56 on the power play. Here's the other goal, 2-0, 8:29 of the third period. David Bullock gets the goal, a shorthanded goal. His second point of the night. He had assisted on the first goal by Pivonka. Landsman gets the shutout, but again, both goaltenders very strong tonight in Brantford, Ontario. We checked the scoreboard for the other 2 games, as I say, Czechoslovakia, Finland, and Sweden, all with a chance at a bronze medal in this tournament. The other games tonight, a reminder, Canada will play Czechoslovakia Saturday afternoon. We will have it live at 2 Eastern here in Sports Weekend. All right, now we take a look at the scoreboard tonight. The other games in progress, West Germany against the Swedes. The Swedes are defeating West Germany 3-0. In the American game, we understand the natural hat trick has been scored by Greg Dornbach as they have the lead over Switzerland. And just a reminder, the winner of tonight's game will win the gold medal. There is no question about that, but there is no overtime in this junior tournament, so if tonight's game should end in a tie, it will all be decided on Saturday when the Soviets play Finland and the Canadians play Czechoslovakia. Stay with us. We'll be right back to Hamilton. The Soviets lead by 1 after 2 periods of play. between Canada and the Soviet Union since this tournament became officially the World Championship in 1977. No question the Soviets have the edge. Canada 2 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. You know, we talk so much about the Canadian fans and the Canadian players wanting to win this game. We should tell you that tonight's game is being carried live all over the Soviet Union, where it is well after midnight. The talk with the Soviet officials, the writers here, is how much the Soviets want to win this game. They always want to beat the Canadians. However, last year, after being humiliated by a score of 5-0 in Finland, more than ever, the Soviets are ready to win this game here this evening. And again, they've changed their style of hockey for the smaller rink, as John Davidson mentioned during that second period. They play a more physical game. That was first evident in Oshawa, Ontario last week when they defeated Sweden. We are ready for what should be a truly outstanding third period of play. And once again, let's bring in Don Whitman and John Davidson.
And leading the participants in this game onto the ice, the officiating crew, Dag Olsen of Sweden, with linesman Jeff Schell of the United States and Hidenori Nakaoka of Japan. And there have been 6 penalties assessed against Canada, 2 against the Soviet Union. And starting the third period, both teams will be a man short, with Sandlak in the penalty box for Canada and in the penalty box for the Soviet Union, Sergei Salyanin. The only goal of the second period was scored by the youngest member of this Soviet team, Sergei Osipov. That came at the 2:05 mark, the go-ahead goal. It was tied at 1 after 20 minutes. And the Soviets outshot Canada 8-5 in the second period for an overall total of 21-16.
Don, we talk about shots on goal. Thus far in the tournament, the Soviets have averaged 36 a game. The Canadians have averaged 45 a game. And to this point, the Soviets have had a total of 21, the Canadians 16. But the Canadians, not many good scoring chances during that second period. And remember, in essence, the tie is important here, because if they do tie and then win their next outing, that goals for and against really means something, and they're well ahead of the Soviets in that department. Oh, look at this.
Well, I think we may get an opportunity to visit with that man after the hockey game, Don Cherry, signing autographs.
He was telling me that they line up to sign autographs or get Don Cherry's autograph. It doesn't look like that much of a lineup to me. Quite a character, isn't he?
He's dressed rather conservatively tonight as well. I wonder what Grates thinks of this hockey game. You know, over the years, if he looked at some of the talent that has been named to the All-Star teams in World Junior Championship play, he would certainly be impressed. I think perhaps the best line of any year was back in 1978. The left winger that year was Anton Stasny of Czechoslovakia. The right winger was Mats Nasman from Sweden. And the center, number 99 from the Edmonton Oilers. Not a bad trio.
It's amazing. You think of Wayne Gretzky with the all-time scoring leadership for the Canadians in World Tournament play, Junior Tournament play.